So that's the query. We've added a few checks in here, and that's all we need to do in that query for now. The rest of it is going to be handled by us in PHP. Okay, so now what we want to do is actually loop through and check the advert data. So I'm going to say while. I mean, you don't really need a while loop for this, but I always like to include it just for ease of use, really. So I'm going to create a new variable inside this while loop called addsRow, and that's going to be equal to mysql fetch assoc, and this is fetching an associative array of all the fields in our database. So advert ID, oh well, the ones that we selected anyway, which will be advert ID and image. Okay, so we've just popped the query name in there, and now addsRow is an array of our data. So let's go ahead and create a few variables and assign the value to these variables. So the advert ID, which is a new variable we're creating, is going to be equal to addsRow, and then in square brackets, remember addsRow is now an array, is the field name. So that's quite simple, it's just advert ID. The next one down is going to be the image, and that's going to be addsRow. Again, we're using exactly the same format to do this, and that's simply image. So advert ID and image correspond to these fields with the selected row, and that will always be only one row. Okay, so now what we want to do is actually display the image to the user. So we're going to be doing this with a link, obviously, because we want the user to be able to click on the advert. And inside here, we're going to be actually inputting the URL for the advert. So we create an image tag, and in here we need to specify the image. So we're taking the image that's stored in the database here, and we're simply putting it inside our image source. Now we need to create a link that what's going to happen when the user actually clicks on this advert, and that's going to be go.php. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, yeah. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to use single quotation marks for the outside of here. I'm going to need to escape that and append on the image variable, and then append that onto there as well. So I'm just appending image with full stops at either side. Okay, so the href is going to be exactly the same. That's going to cut that string and append something on, and then start the string again. And this is going to be before this go.php advert ID is equal to, then we cut out of the string, and this variable is always going to be dynamic, and that is going to be the advert ID. So now that we've done this, let's go ahead and just open our browser and see what we have. It's not going to be displayed here just yet because we've included this inside of our ads.inc.php. So let's go over to index.php and come down exactly where we want to include this advert rotation. So mine is going to be above the header. So I can start some PHP tags, and I can say include adverts. Remember, that's the folder that we have the ads.inc.php file stored in, and that's going to be ads.inc.php. Quite simple. Let's go and refresh. Oh, okay, so we have a undefined variable addsRow. Let's have a look at the error. AddsRow. Oh, I've added an extra s on there. You probably already noticed that. So I've corrected that, and it should work now. Okay, yeah. So what we're getting now is we're getting an advert up. Now I'm refreshing the page and nothing's happening. We're not changing the advert rotation, and the reason for this is in my database as it stands. Let's just refresh the data. We have shown set to 1 and 1 here. That's the dogs advert and the default advert. So the read-write advert that we've got up here currently adheres to our SQL query. So therefore we're not actually updating this to 1 or doing anything to it. So we have the advert displayed, but what we don't actually do is now update this value to 1. So we're going to be doing that next. And we're also going to be updating the impressions in the same query, so we can add the impressions in there. Okay, so let's go back into here, and I'm going to just create a MySQL query. I'm not going to assign it a variable because we're doing a one-off query. We don't need to take any information back from this. And the query is going to be update, and we're going to give the table name, which is adverts. And then we're going to set shown equal to 1, okay? And we are also going to update the impressions as well. So we're just simply going to say impressions equals impressions plus 1, just like you'd do in PHP, but we can do this in a query. We need a where clause in here because we obviously need to know where we're updating this. If we were to leave it just like this, what we'd actually be doing is updating all values in the database. So we need to specify where we're updating, and we're going to update where advert ID is equal to advert ID. Remember, this variable here is the current advert that's being displayed. So essentially what this page is doing is, for the current advert that's being displayed, we're updating the impressions and we're setting shown is equal to 1. Okay, so now what's going to happen is when I run this on my page, you're going to see that we're going to get no adverts returned, and the reason for this is we are updating this value now to 1 and this impression to adding 1 onto it, so we have 11 we'll end up with. But now the query will actually fail because none of the values are equal to 0. Remember, in our query up here, we specify that we want to select where shown is equal to 0. So let's go ahead and refresh and see if I was right. Okay, yeah, so we've got no adverts up. So the way to solve this is obviously to check underneath here whether all fields, all shown fields in the table are set to 1. Now, if all shown fields are set to 1, we need to revert back to all shown fields being equal to 0, and therefore the query will work because we have values in our table where shown is equal to 0. So let's go ahead and create a variable called shown, and that's going to be equal to a MySQL query. And this time we're doing something a bit different. We're still selecting data from our database, but we're selecting the count of a specific field, and we're going to use advert ID for this. Now what this does is it will return a result of how many records have been selected from this query. So this is selecting the count of advert ID from adverts. Remember, our table is called adverts, and this is where shown is equal to 1. Okay, so this is selecting all records where shown is equal to 1. Okay. Oh, in actual fact, no, we need to say where shown is equal to 0, because as it stands at the moment, let's just go back over to our database and refresh the data. As it stands at the moment, you can see that all, okay, so on that last refresh, that didn't update, so let's just check where we may have been going wrong. Okay, well, let's just try it from the beginning. I might have made a mistake here, but let's go up and we will perform a query inside here. And what I'm going to do is update adverts set shown equals 0. Okay. So what that's done is it has set all our values to 0. This means that an advert should be displayed, but it's not. So what's going on? Let's have a look. Oh, okay. So the reason this is not working is that the adverts in my database have actually expired. Okay, so during the tutorial they did expire. So in actual fact, this code as it stands will work. Let's just comment this out so we can go and resolve this problem. So while you're working on this, you'll probably find that your expiry timestamps will expire essentially because of our SQL check. So I'm going to come over to timestamp.php. This is exactly why I created this file in the first place, so it's a good reason to show you why. And I'm going to copy the current timestamp and I'm going to paste it into a query.